Guys, hi, welcome to the show. I've got a really special guest with me today. Her name is Monique Lindner. Monique is an absolute fireball of a person, and you'll find out why a little bit later on. Originally from Germany, same as me, if you guys didn't know. She climbed the corporate ladder to success very early on. She did it quite quickly. She oversaw large teams to deliver projects for high-profile companies. And then she changed direction, moved to Thailand, and she now coaches entrepreneurs and leaders in the areas of performance and leadership and those kind of things. And we could talk about that a little bit later on as well. She's been traveling around the world, and we recently caught up with each other in Berlin, which was fantastic. And that's where Monique is right now. She would not forgive me if I didn't say her favorite color is yellow. Her favorite animal elephants. That might not seem important to you, but I know Monique would want you to know this. So from our conversations that me and Monique have had, I've gotten to know her really well, and I've got huge admiration for how she's overcome some really big stuff that's happened in her life, all of which has really shaped her as a person. So I'm grateful to have her on, and hopefully she'll be able to share some of that with you. Monique, welcome.
Good morning, Andy. How are you?
I'm very good, very excited. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm really, really well. And yellow, just for you.
Great, thank you. So, Monique, what I'd normally do at this stage is ask a opening question like, what briefly summarize the things that you've been through that have shaped you as a person. But if I ask that to you, we'd just be here for hours. So I'm going to be more specific with my question.
Yeah.
I'm going to go right in. Tell me, Monique, about the biggest setback that you've encountered in your life so far.
Well, in hindsight, it's probably the biggest blessing, right? Which one of those do I choose? Well, I guess the one that literally shaped of what I'm doing right now is when I was 19 and I died of a cardiac arrest. And the way it happened is that a lot of things came together. Basically, I have several chronic diseases, but one of them is migraines with epilepsy. And for many people, that usually sounds not that traumatic, but it actually is if you look into the science behind it. And so by the age of 19, I have been already working for 6 years straight, besides being in school, besides being in university. And I did sleep maybe 2 hours a night. So that was a little bit of a unhealthy lifestyle for sure. And if you know about the hustle and grind, if you know about Gary Vee, then I would have been his idol at this time for sure. And one night I just came home. I got a migraine attack. I thought that would be the hardest attack in my life. And I called up my parents and told them they need to be back home in I had an own apartment already, in my apartment in 5 minutes, or I'm not going to make it. And I was right. I just broke down. I got an epileptic seizure, and the seizure made my heart stop beating. And I had a out-of-body experience. I was 25 seconds clinically dead. And this really was a big cut in my life, right? And it shaped all of my later on decisions on what I'm doing, on how I do things, why I'm doing them. And it definitely shaped the person who I am.
Sure. Wow, you died.
Totally, yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, there's nothing more serious than that. So that, you say, changed everything for you. Big pivot, big crossroads. And you started asking some of those big questions. And it happened at the age of 19?
That's right.
What actions did you take then after you recovered and got back onto your feet?
Right. I'm going to be really honest. By that time, I don't think I did take this serious. And I want to make this really clear. This kind of incident or accident should be one of your biggest wake up calls. And I don't want anyone to die out there first, right? And so I didn't take this serious. I thought like, oh, you know, okay, I died, and well, this is what happens with a chronic disease like that. But I didn't make the connection between the unhealthy lifestyle I had and the extreme hours I worked for jobs that I didn't like, for bosses that would bully the heck out of me, and for people that would just try to tear me down every single day. And so honestly, I just did the same again. I went back into university. I finished it, and then I started out my career, and guess what, the same shit happened. And I didn't end up dying again, but I did end up with a massive burnout and with a spine injury. And that was literally the point where I said, wait a minute. Well, I had this like before. I had like a big wake up call like 5 years earlier. Why the heck am I even at this point right now where I can't move? I have a leg that's not working anymore because my spinal cord was cut off. I'm at home. I lost my job. I lost all of my friends. And there was a lot of more things happening at this time with the therapist and so on. And I was sitting here and I was 24 and my life like literally got pulled away from under my feet. And I was wondering, and I was like, okay, the reason why I'm here now is because I didn't take this wake up call serious by the age of 19. And then I changed everything in my life.
Okay. So you needed the second wake up call. Like you put the first one on snooze.
I think when Gary Vee talks about the jab, right hook, I needed the jab and another jab, and the right hook just literally broke me down. And that's
So then that happened to you the second time. Mm-hmm. Same question then. What actions did you take at that point after you recovered and got back on your feet?
So the first thing I did was actually looking at what got me there. Because what we are trying to do is we are usually trying to fix something. And what we do fix is the surface level things. So I looked really deep into what got me there, right? Which kind of behavior, which kind of beliefs, what kind of conditioning, because there was a reason that I worked so freaking hard, right? And so this was really the first step. And when I found out what actually drove me to work so hard, what like all this kind of things, well, this was the first thing I had to change and to attack. And so I did. And the second thing was to look at where I'm at right now in this point of my life. Am I actually happy with who I am? What am I doing? Where am I going? And if not, well, I had to change that too. And that took about 2 years to actually assess all of that, go through like behavior pattern changes and stuff like that, and actually think like, you know what? I really hate my life right now. I think it totally sucks. It's an absolute disaster. And this happened when I was traveling. As you said, I started traveling actually after that cardiac arrest. And funny enough, I moved to London by that time. So very interesting. And everything went wrong, right? And then my parents, they freaked out. And they said, now that everything went wrong, you can stop traveling. And I'm like, no, wait. Now that everything went wrong, it can only get better. So going back to the 24 thing that happened to me, it took me like 2 years, and I was traveling in Vietnam and Cambodia, and I went back on the plane home, and I had like 2 stopovers, and one was in Amsterdam, and it was the final stopover to go back to Berlin. It's like I was supposed to go on the plane And suddenly I got a huge anxiety attack. Never had an anxiety attack in my life. Never was afraid of anything. I was like just going there, doing that, you know, got the t-shirt basically. But I got on the plane and I literally freaked out. I was like, oh my God, I can't go back to Berlin. And literally I broke down, I cried. And the stewardess was like, oh my God, like what's wrong? You know, can I help you? I'm like, I need to go back to Asia. It's so bad in Berlin. Like everyone hates me. Everyone like bullies me. Everyone like whatever, you know? And she's like, oh my God, like you need to do something about it. Can you not leave the job? I'm like, like literally like that, you know? Yeah, so I cried my way back home. And as soon as I landed, I called my best friend and said like, Theo, I'm going to quit my life. I'm going to move to Asia and I'm, I don't know, I'm going to become dive instructor. And he's like, what? Did you take drugs? And I'm like, no. No, why? And he's like, why would you leave your life and do that? And I'm like, it really sucks here. Like I suck. This life sucks. Like everything sucks. So why not do something else? And he's like, so you're doing that, right? And he like, you really leave? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, when? I'm like, in 6 months. I just set the date. And 6 months later, I left.
Wow. That's a lot of stuff that you went through. But I like the part where you were so honest with yourself, you know, to kind of come out and say that I hate my life. I hate this. And a lot of people can have that realization, but then it really beats them up. You know, it can really make them feel like, puts them into a state of paralysis rather than forward action.
Yeah.
Did you have to overcome that yourself? Or was it just, no, I hate my life, I'm going to do something about it?
Honestly, it probably would put me in this paralysis now. But by that time, the pain of how much I hated myself and my life, and not myself as a person, but myself in this place that I've been, you know, I hated it so much that the pain was so big that I just wanted to change whatever I could. So there was no way I would be paralyzed. It was just, okay, what can I do? How can I do it? How can I get there? And there was no way I would be getting stuck in there for another minute.
And can I ask, Monique, how, as you did that with reflection and you just took a step back and just assessed, how did you think you got to that point where it was not good as you look back? Well, I mean, what do you think happened along the way that got you there?
Good question. Obviously, and I do think that's for a lot of people. So I think conditioning is one thing, right? So I've been growing up in Germany, obviously, with like, you need to work hard, you need to have the best jobs, the best job titles, like a big flat, at these, that things, you know, like pile the things up in your flat, have the biggest car, the whatever, you know, time is money, you need to work hard, money doesn't grow on trees, all this kind of limiting beliefs. I'm not allowed to swear, so every time I make a break, that's when I was about to swear. So all these limiting beliefs that literally either you are not worth it, or you are not good enough, or you have to work so hard that basically you are going to break into 2 pieces, right? And this has been burned into my brain, into like, it's still there somewhere, and I can feel it on many days as an entrepreneur. And especially this conditioning, I must say, has been obviously hold me back into different positions, right? So this career I was following, why did I follow this career? Did I really want to go and become like one of the best project managers or a team manager by 22? Did I really want that? I don't know, but I did it, right? Because you had to prove to family, friends, whatever, how fantastic and how great I am. You know, how did you prove that? becoming a team manager for Siemens by age 22 for 160 people in IT second level. Fantastic. Was a great thing. What do you do? Oh, I'm a team manager. And you? It's like this kind of validation that you need to get on your daily basis, whatever. So this was one thing. And then obviously, I don't know really how to call it in English, but the horses who have these blinds on the side?
Yes. I don't know what they're called, but I know exactly what you mean. Keeps them looking straight ahead.
Yeah. So I often think that we get these blinds when we're really, really small in our childhoods, only though we don't even try to look what's around us. We don't even try to see what's out there, what could be different for us or whatever, but that we get the society blinds on the side and then, just do what you're being told. And I, for myself, always try to do what I've been told not to do. So I was always rebelling. But in the end, I was literally doing what I've been told, just in a different way. And so to break out of that, I had to break myself down and I had to kill whatever I knew about business, whatever I knew about society. And I had to leave that behind. I needed to leave my conditioning, and I still need to work on that. I mean, I've been conditioned for, you have been conditioned for, everyone has been conditioned. The time I started, I was about, like, as I said, 24, 26, when I really started to go deep into, like, holy crap, like that's a lot of things I've been told. And I mean, try to unlearn 24 years of BS you've been put into your brain every single day, that takes another 24 years at least to unlearn. So I'm still doing it every single day. I have like social conditioning. I think I've been working very hard and I've made big leaps, but there are things, where you still think sometimes, like, why did I do it this way and not my way?
Sure.
It's like,
sure.
Yeah.
And then that realization, and then that incident at the airport when you just, you thought of Berlin, and then I guess that conjured up a whole bunch of stuff that brought on the attack. So you're no longer at this point, or you're releasing yourself from conforming to the things that have shaped you, and like things you thought you had to do for validation, as you're kind of stripping that away and then moving towards, right, I'm going to chase my path. I'm going to be more empowered to walk my path and my journey. If you hadn't been doing that all that time, when you think, right, I'm going to do what I want to do, how do you figure what that is? How do you figure out what that is? Because it's new, right? Was it like, oh, well, what do I want to do? And then share. And then, so how was that journey for you? Kind of refinding yourself, if you like. I don't know how you would describe it.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a good question. Well, I mean, about a lot of things that have happened to me. I don't know how family friendly it is to talk about that. So
I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, we can beat things out if you use it. But we'll see. We'll go, be you.
Okay. So in my life, I experienced a lot of sexual violence, from catcalling all the way to being raped for way too long.
You say that so casually. It's just wow.
Well, it's yeah, right.
Wow.
Is that a good thing? I don't know. Is it?
I don't know. It shows where you are at with it, I guess.
Okay, good. Good. So it's not that, like, I heard that before, and then people are like, you're not emotional with it. And then other times I'm emotional and they're like, you're way too attached to it. I'm like, okay, can you just make a decision what's good, what's not for you? Like, I guess it really depends in what connection you're talking about it. I also heard, like, you're still talking about it, you're so attached. I'm like, no, it's just part of my story. It's part of what made me who I am today, and it's a part of my why I'm doing things,
Yeah.
So I'm certainly not giving any power to these people anymore, but it is what it is. And if I would deny it these days, right, it does, like, that doesn't make it any better either. So it's like a balance of giving any power emotionally to these people, but denying it doesn't make it like any better as well. So that's kind of like putting yourself in a more victim kind of state, because then if you deny it, like I denied my first wake up call, then it might as well just happen again, because you're going to oversee any kind of red flags for the next time, right? So anyways, doing it my way, this is what happens. I had enough of it, and I traveled to many different countries. And in Thailand, for example, I got to the point where I got to know a very dark side of humanity, basically, because you can't only put it on the country, but that's where I got to know about it, right? And I think it's one of the darkest sides ever of humanity, because I cannot explain how, I don't know how to explain without swearing, how messed up you must be as a human being to do that to someone else. And it's about sex trafficking, right? Human trafficking, sex trafficking. Basically, how it works is that people get either kidnapped or sold to a group of people who then sex slave you. And basically, you be raped every single day by people who buy your body for their pleasure, basically. And for me, it's just a concept I cannot. And most of the times it's 80% it's women and children, and I cannot fathom that. I don't like, even more children. I do not understand how can you dare to touch children like that. But also obviously women and then men who get into situations, it's just crazy to imagine for me. Having gone through something similar but not being sold into it or whatever. Like anyways, you see I'm speechless about it still somehow. But I got to know this problem, and I could sympathize with them, but not like, obviously not on a level that I know what they go through, but on the level of I just want to help them, because it's, for me, it's still like the most inhuman thing to do. And I know that there is a lot of darkness behind who these people are who are doing that, who's getting the money, who is enabling this, and all this kind of things. And I must say, this just must stop. Yeah. I'm happy to save the earth and reduce the climate change and whatever else. But first, we need to take care of our fellow humans.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like, yes. Do I use plastic? No. You see me with my refillable cup and with my, like, you hear me like, don't buy another plastic bottle. Like, I'm doing all of the things I can, but I don't care. Not that I say this wrong, but I'm getting things wrong out anyways. I don't care much about another climate change, because the planet Earth has gone through climate changes forever and ever and ever and ever and has recovered. What I do care about is if we mess up our own people every single day. And no matter if we put them in the worst poverty or if we bump the heck out of them every day and then let them drown on the ocean, or if we sell them into sex slavery, those are things I cannot look away from, and I'm not going to let this happen any longer. And so that's why I'm here, and I'm like, you know what, this is something that I'm going to work on and hope to be able to stop that one day.
Love it. Thank you, Monique. That's so powerful. And, 100% absolutely agree. 100% we've got to do something about this. And I love that fire, and just, wow, it's scary. When you talk about it like the way that you talked about it, and especially when you can, relate to it somewhere as well. It's just, horrible, isn't it? You take some time to think about disgusting things that go on that you just don't know, you know, and that's part of me living in a bubble. Part of, you know, when we're living in certain parts of the world, we're blind to it. Sometimes not intentionally, but you know, that doesn't necessarily always make ignorance an excuse, because there are ways of finding out if we wanted to.
Yeah.
Wow. So thanks for sharing that. Going forward, you're now a coach,
Mm-hmm.
and you're in Berlin in a minute, but you're moving back to Thailand. Just tell me how that fits in now, you know, on that journey. And then you're a coach, and you coach a specific type of people.
Mm-hmm.
How did that come about? Briefly. I don't think we have a lot of time left. Apologies.
So it was similar to that. So I was actually going through a lot of things, as in, okay, where does everything come from for me? You know, like, it's the same thing with what I just talked about, why I want to help these people. I realized that this cardiac arrest had such a big impact on my life, and I do not want other people to get to this point. And that indeed, so many people work and work and work and work, and they do not have a life besides work. And I don't want that for others. I had that for half of my life. And I've seen that as soon I was on the deathbed, you know, that I regretted most of my life. I was there, I was like, oh God, please don't let me die. I have so much to do, and I missed out on so many things. I can't just leave. Like, if I leave now, then literally my life was worthless. It was literally worthless. There was nothing that I have done that I contributed to anything that I would have been proud of. That was the shittiest, I'm sorry, that was the horrible feeling ever, you know? So I woke up from this, and it took me a few years to realize that, but I woke up from that, and the first thing I asked myself was like, did I achieve my ultimate potential? Was I able to make this life worthwhile? And the straightforward answer was no, not whatsoever, not a single bit. And so I don't want anyone to live a life where they literally just exist and work their back part off, but not have a life. So literally it was a thing that just came up basically every single day, because when I told people what I was studying, whatever, they were like, oh, can you help me with some time management? Because I don't know how to do that, whatever. Oh, you're a project manager? Can you help me with it? So at one point I said, like, you know what? I'm so good at this. I'm literally, you can wake me up at 3:27 a.m. and out of the blue, I can tell you everything about it. I can look at your business. I save you millions of dollars because I can structure it while I'm sleeping. I don't even need to wake up for it. Basically, I'm that good, you know? So I'm like, why wouldn't I make a business out of it? Why not helping people with it, you know? On a daily basis. And that's how I got about it, to be a high performance coach.
That's great. That's great. So much of it has come out of obviously your own personal experience, and you've been able to use the skills that you've picked up during the time that you were working in the corporate world, which wasn't something you actually wanted to do, but you've taken the value from that and applied it to something that you do want to do. And that's great. Awesome. Monique, 2 questions. The first one is, briefly, what is this thing about elephants?
They are the most wonderful animals because they're huge, but they're the most calm animals in the world. They can, with their huge presence, just take away all of your stress in a second. Plus, they remember everything. So if you are if you're a little bee to them, then they will remember. And I love that. They are literally the living karma, you know?
Yeah. So you can't do anything. Well, actually interesting. Do they know how to forgive if you've done something bad and then you're good to them after?
That's a great question. I'm going to research that. I'm not sure, literally. I'm not sure.
Sure. I love it. So, because that's where you're moving back to soon, right? You're going back there, living in an elephant sanctuary.
I'm not going to live there, but I live close because I'm going to work there with them and the nonprofit that helps to prevent sex trafficking. Yeah.
Ah, beautiful. So it's all okay. It's all connected. Okay, wonderful.
Yep.
Last question, Monique. How do you see yourself making more of an impact going forward?
So my mission really is to help, hopefully, as many as millions of entrepreneurs to live an ultimate life. And that sounds always really like vague and whatever, but what I mean is basically like, first of all, get a life, get a life besides your work. Work is not everything, and you will know latest when you are on your deathbed and wish you would actually have lived your life. So get a life, but also be able to live your ultimate potential. And that's something because so many people, they don't want to be average. If you want to be average, please, like some people are really content with just having a normal life for them, and that's fantastic. I love that. But for so many like us, for high achievers that literally want to push themselves every day, see where they can go, I want to be helpful and enable them and empower them to unlock their ultimate potential, because it's in every one of us. And that means also to help them to live the ultimate life, whatever that means for you. Climbing Mount Everest, let's go, swimming down Niagara Falls or whatever. I don't know if that's possible. Like, let's go, let's try, we'll make it, like stuff like that. Let's just do it. You always regret the things that you haven't done. It's never the other way around. And so this is my other mission that I really, really want to fulfill. And I hope that with my work, but also forward going with events and with more workshops, also in corporations, to help them help the employees, to fulfill more of their dreams, would be one of my visions for the future. And obviously, I have a big vision for myself to create a nonprofit that I can create an education system for refugees and for ethnic minorities, and bring them all over the world into refugee camps and into rural areas, that everyone has the opportunity to achieve the ultimate potential.
It's amazing. I love that answer. I mean, that is some, big vision, and that's okay. That's fantastic, because we need that, to have the confidence to believe that it's possible for you to make that kind of an impact is the kind of stuff that's needed to make that kind of an impact and to turn it into a reality. So thank you, Monique. Thank you so much. And I appreciate your time. It's been really great getting to know you, even more in a different way, even though we've had a lot of these conversations. So really appreciate your time. Thanks for being on.
Thanks, Annie. And thank you for your friendship. I really appreciate it. It's brought me a lot of love and a lot of light. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Yeah, we look forward to catching up again soon. I'll catch you later, Monique. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.